You know, we get asked all the time why we have twice as much men's apparel and bikes and everything as we do women's, and the answer is just the options aren't out there, and we're constantly badgering vendors to create what women want, and that's what this panel's all about. So I'm really happy to host this. Thank you, Megan, Alana, for putting it together, and let's get this party started.
Thanks, Zach, and thanks Huckleberry. You guys are awesome. They hooked it up with SF Bike Coalition parking and obviously this awesome space. I'm Megan. I'm with Iladora. Just want to say hello to everybody. A few fun housekeeping items. Spicy Vines is our wine sponsor tonight, and they're giving away a bottle. So put your name and number in that amazing green chalice that's in the back, and we'll do a drawing after this. We also have a big poster board in the back you may have seen. So we're collecting, what do you want in your apparel? What features do you like? What are your favorites right now? So at the end of the night, we'll take that, we'll compile it, we'll share it with the designers, we'll get it on the blog, and we'll share it with all of you as well. Hashtag tonight for tweeting, tweet lots, is Design to Ride. Right there. That's it. And this is gonna be really cool, really fun. We want it to be interactive. So we'll do a Q&A at the end. And I'm gonna hand it off to Jordan, who is our moderator this evening, who is a writer at Gizmodo, among tons of other awesome publications, Fastco Design, a bunch of other ones I can't remember, she'll tell you. So I'm gonna hand it over.
Okay, you wanna hang on to that? Okay, can you guys, this is new for me, this little lapel mic, can you hear me?
Not very well.
No, okay. Now, better? I can just hold it too. Hi, better? Sort of okay? Okay, hi. My name is Jordan Cushions. I am a staff writer at a website called Gizmodo. We cover technology and design and about a million other things. I was a writer for Fast Company's design site and an editor at Dwell for a few years. But more importantly, I own a bike and I love it. And I got my bike about 5 years ago when I was decided to start training for a triathlon. And I thought, well, I'll get this, it'll be a good investment. I'll maybe ride it to work a couple times a month and take it out on the weekends, and it totally changed my life. I basically haven't had a day without riding it since. So this is really awesome to be here, and obviously near and dear to me, and probably all of you, is what the hell to wear while you're biking. So I had a chance to talk with everybody this week, and everybody has pretty interesting paths to women's bike apparel. So I wanted to let everybody introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about how you ended up where you are and what you're doing now. So Karen, you want to start?
Hi everyone, thank you for coming out on a Thursday night. Most of my career has been in fashion, mainly in denim at Levi's for a long time. And that's where we sort of all collaborated on the Commuter series. And I left before it got big, so I was like shooting myself. But I got to go to somewhere even better, because Giro has a 25-year history, actually 27 now, because I've been there for 2 years, of being a leader in helmets. And everyone that works there is a serious rider, and the culture there for bike is intense. But they also love to have fun. And that's actually more important than the race, more important than the competition. And so after Levi's, I was in LA. I was exploring premium denim down there, just an experiment, because I'm very much a Bay Area girl. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna try LA and just see what happens. I brought my bike. I didn't ride it once, because it was so dangerous and scary. So that part was really depressing. And so a year in, I was just starting to get warmed up. I was spinning a lot. And then I got a call from Giro, and they're like, we have this amazing project happening, and we want to bring in a woman rider who loves bikes, loves the outdoors, and is interested in doing performance. But they wanted someone to bring in sort of a fashion element to it, a streetwise element to it, and just sort of see what would happen, if we mixed just streetwear with performance. And I came up, they met me on a weekend, which was so amazing for the guys to take the time out to come see me. And I toured the facilities, met everybody, saw the men's line, and was just like, I have to do it. Took a huge pay cut, came back up, moved back into my house, and just started writing again. And it just, the love came back for what I did, you know? So my work is now what I'm passionate about, and almost 2 years into it, it was the best decision I made. And the line is out, super excited, and I think that women will be the key shift in cycling that will, that will help just sell more bikes, more accessories, more everything, because we shop. We shop for ourselves, we shop for everybody. And I think in the past, it's been limited because it's been race-inspired. And then recently, I think within the last 5 years, it's been more mobility, more commuter-inspired. But what's the in-between? What do you wear on a 50-mile ride to Marin? And you want to stop off for a little wine, have some cheese, and you don't want to look like an idiot. You don't want to walk around with this giant pad, which there's a reason for it. If you're going to do a big ride, you kit it up, you get on your carbon bike, and you kill it, right? But I don't always want to do that, and I don't always want to look that way. And I know a lot of people have the same challenge. So then you just kind of cover up with a cotton t-shirt, and you sweat, and it gets soggy, and you just, you don't have like the right gear to have the best of both worlds. So we're focusing on that ride element where you can get on your bike from San Francisco out to Tiburon, and you look and you feel great, and you're comfortable, and you feel like yourself. So that's the goal. That's how I ended up at Giro.
New road.
That's New Road, right. So I'm wearing some kisses.
Hi. So I actually got started in design at a very young age, and my mom was actually my big pusher. It's pretty awesome when you have a parent who's like, you should be going to design school. Like, what parent says that? And of course, I was the one who was like, are you kidding me? Nobody makes money doing design. That's stupid. So I didn't go to design school initially. I got a degree in psychology and minored in music. And then a couple years later, I was like, I want to be a lawyer. So I worked for a law firm for a couple years, and then I started getting back into design and doing a lot of just work on my own projects. And then eventually the law firm I worked for was like, you should go to design school. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll apply now. So I found the Academy of Art in San Francisco, and they did an MFA program, which is awesome. And then while I was working on my MFA, before I even started my MFA, I was like, I really want to work in the outdoor industry. I am super active, I like to get dressed up, but it's so important for me to be able to move in my clothes and to feel comfortable. So my focus was really to go into the outdoor industry, and what better place than to come to like Seattle or San Francisco or Portland. So San Francisco was like, that's it, it's happening. So while I was in design school, knocked down the door of my director to bother him about who is an alumni that works for like one of these awesome companies in the Bay Area. And finally, after they don't know, they do high fashion, they want you to go into high fashion. He's like, I have no idea, Alana, leave me alone, except he says it in like a British accent. So then finally, he contacted an alum who worked for the North Face. And I got in the door and got an interview and landed a job there for a couple of years. And that's where I met Steven. That's how we know each other. And then I worked in the outerwear department, did some supporting in sportswear, and was just so excited to have that opportunity. It was amazing. So through all of that, Megan and I worked on a lot of projects in school where my inspiration revolved around bike commuting, because every single day I biked to school and I biked to work. And My clothes were just getting hammered. I had holes in my crotch, and my shirts were like sweat stained, and I was really annoyed because as a designer, you start to see like craftsmanship in the work, in the clothing that you're buying, and you want to buy really nice clothing that's crafted well. So if you're getting like, if it's ripping and then you're getting pit stains, like that's pretty disgusting. So, so a lot of my projects revolved around like this durable fashion idea. And Megan and I were talking, and I was showing her my projects, and she's like, we have to do this. And I was like, oh, you know, I'm gonna work for corporate America for a while. That's like entrepreneurship, what's that? So eventually we started to work on the pant, and we launched our Perfect Bike Pant in December through a successful Kickstarter campaign. And now we're like working on a spring line that's gonna go into production end of this month, first week of April, and it'll be launching mid-April. So we're pretty excited about that. Stay tuned for lookbook shoot stuff coming out really soon. So yeah, it's turned into like a full-time gig, and we're really excited to bring this durable fashion idea into the world. Thanks.
Hey everybody, my name is Stephen Wheeler, and I am a designer at Betabrand, which is a clothing company based here in San Francisco. Like the other panelists, I got my interest in fashion at a very young age, sewing myself rave clothes on my mom's Kenmore sewing machine when I was early in high school. And initially I thought that I really wanted to do women's wear, and so I would sketch and try and sew amazing Oscar gowns, like everybody who's newly interested in fashion. And eventually after high school, I got a job as an apprentice tailor for this person who was just incredibly passionate and took great pride in her work, and taught me some of the really fascinating components of menswear, specifically traditional menswear tailoring and flat pattern design and drafting, as well as just all of the components that go into menswear and the well-crafted details. And so I fell head over heels with that, and I instantly knew that what I really, really wanted to do was menswear. And so I came down here to go to school and got my degree in that. And along the way, I sort of became interested in, because I've always been like a science nerd and kind of a tech geek, really interested in high-tech materials and performance materials, and I was sort of wondering if there was a way to marry those two elements of interest, just high-end men's tailoring and really well-fitting garments with high-end, high-performance materials. And after school, I did some bumming around, private label, contract work, knocking off other people's designs for Kmart. But a girl gotta eat. So after that, I ended up getting a job at the North Face, which was really an amazing experience. I met Ilana here, whom I love dearly, and we were just like two peas in a pod. They had to threaten to separate us when we were working because we were like the two rotten kids in class. And it was a blast working there because we had access to a vast amount of resources. As a $2 billion brand, you have no problem getting suppliers or factories to return your calls. It's crazy. People come to you twice a year to show you fabrics, and you have, we had something called the Tinker Lab downstairs where we could go and sew out little sew samples and stuff. And just really amazing technical designers and product developers that would help bring these sketches and ideas to life. And it was just amazing having access to resources like laser cutters and lasers and ultrasonic seam welding machines and DWR-coated high-performance four-way stretch materials. It was just so rad, and I fell in love with sportswear and outerwear. Like, most people just pick one of those things and go for it, but I've never been good at picking just one thing. So I really loved doing both, and I loved the position I was in, which was supporting the two senior designers there in outerwear and sportswear. And when it came time to explore something else, I'd heard of Betabrand when I was still in school because they'd had an article on Gizmodo actually about the DARPA hoodie that was in like 2009, 2010, and I was like, that is so cool. They are taking this mathematical algorithm developed for a government agency and using it to create a hoodie that uses as little fabric as possible. Like all of the pieces can get shoved together for the maximum efficiency from the marker, and it's just so cool. So I like had this, I knew of Betabrand and I knew of the Bike to Work line. And so something came up in TechCrunch when I was at North Face one day, and I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna send them a letter, and I got an interview and I made the switch, and it is such a radical shift to go from a humongous multinational brand that's parent owned by a company that also owns Vans and a whole bunch of other smaller companies to a venture funded startup that's on, like originally we were out on Cesar Chavez in the old Sears building, and we were just like stacked on top of each other, and there was like fabric falling all over the place, and it was crazy, but it was so much fun because we had so many talented people there, no resources like what I was used to at the North Face, but a really clear mandate to make kick-ass products no matter what the cost, and that has been huge. So I've taken my two interests of high-end menswear and well-tailored and well-crafted materials and garments and been able to couple it to really high-end fabrics. So in that regard, I'm really, really lucky, and I've been able to work with some of my coworkers, Jason, who's back there and is really active in the bike community and helped actually launch the Bike to Work line before I even got to Betabrand. Take that and work with him and our other really amazing employees and broaden that line out, and to also take women's wear from just an idea and help expand that out. And Tony, the assistant designer who's back there and also goes to the same school that Alana and I went to, as well as Victoria, the product manager back there, have done a really amazing job of taking that idea that started in menswear, and Betabrand is very much a menswear-based company, and broadening that out to women's wear products. And it's so exciting to be a part of that and learning how women buy products. In a way, it seems that it's different from men because as men, we're used to being marketed to in ways that seem like bullet points, like we're shopping for a car or a TV or a cell phone or something, and so we respond really well to a list of performance features. But with women, we get to tell a more interesting and nuanced story. And so it's really just interesting seeing that switch and trying to make that mental shift, but make products that women respond to.
So what are the sort of common challenges that you face in terms of changing these existing items in a way that makes them different but also cool and functional in a way that actually looks good as well?
I guess there's so many different types of rides. So if you're talking about a road ride or a local ride, or depending how long you're going to spend in the saddle, that really determines what you wear. So it starts with fabric for us and what you need it to do. So cycling has some of the most high performance fabrics. That's why a kit can be $300, and it's just Lycra. But because of the compression, the construction, the yarns, just the high level of technical attributes that it has, it's really expensive. It's made in Italy, it's super rare, and so it starts with the fabric. So if I'm doing something, a piece that's more our mobility piece, then you start with really nice stretch, you want really great recovery, you want a DWR finish on it, so you have some durability, some water repellency, but you want it to breathe. That's the key thing. So in performance fabrics, a lot of it is synthetic, and the reason why is it spreads moisture so that it dries faster. So if you think about your bathing suit, you go in the water, you come out, you lay out and you dry really fast. If it were cotton, you'd still be wet and it'd be sagging down to your knees and it just wouldn't work because it holds on to moisture. So there's an art to figuring out the right blend, the right balance of merino fibers to poly to nylon to, you know, hollow core to all these different types of yarns and constructions to get the right performance. And then, you know, we fit everything on the bike, so we make sure that, you know, different types of bikes, there's different degrees. You know, you can be upright, you can be bent down a little bit more. You know, it depends on the handlebar, depends on the type of ride. So we just look at all those different angles, and then we make sure that you can bend, you have flexibility in your shoulders, but off the bike, we want it to just look like clothes. We don't want it to look like, you know, you're going to space. And we don't want it to look like something you wouldn't wear to work or out. We want the pieces that we make to become your favorite pieces because they feel good, they work, and they sort of fit into your lifestyle. So it's really the type of ride, but it starts with fabric, and then you go into fit, and then you style it. That's how we do it.
And you've got your pants, so working on with pants, was it like, the back doesn't go, I mean, sorry, what were sort of the key elements that you wanted to address for pants specifically?
Yeah, so specifically, the way that we've worked is very similar to how Karani is explaining it. You know, when you're talking about holes in your crotch, that's durability issues and abrasion resistance. So the first thing you want to find is fabric that works, and something that doesn't look, like she said, like you're going to go on a 100-mile ride. So you have to source your right fabric, and then we took a lot of we did surveys to do research on like, what is it that, I mean, we know what happens to I know what happens to my clothes, but like, am I suffering from the same problems as every other woman that I know who bike commutes? So Megan and I wrote up a survey, sent it out to like 100 and some friends of ours, and we got like a really good response rate. And a lot of the feature issues were, you know, definitely the hole in the crotch, baggy knees, saggy bottom, plumber butt crack issues, just, you know, definitely like holes, things like that. So am I missing any? There's quite a few that go on when you deal with your pants when you bike. So we gathered that information, and I started to work on a pant. And I'm from Montana, and my mom is a very avid horseback rider. So my inspiration came from horseback riding and the feel of being on a horse, and it's very similar to being on a bike and dealing with the same issues. So if you look at the pant that we did, it is equestrian. You can tell it's equestrian inspired if you know anything about equestrian apparel. So what I worked on was a high-rise back, so that when you lean forward, it leans with you, and you will never see a girl's butt crack. Sorry, guys. Also, I want to be sexy in my pants. When I try on a pant, I turn around and look at my butt in the mirror. It's what I do, and it's what my friends do. So I went with it. And then for durability, obviously the fabric we chose is woven nylon. And it's matte, so it doesn't have the shiny finish. And yeah, I mean, the fabric itself, like it has, what's the word? Once it's stretched out, it comes back. So yeah, it has good recovery. I don't want to throw out too many industry terms for you guys because you probably don't know what they are. So if at any point you don't know what we're saying, like maybe just throw a hand up and we can try to put it in your terms. That might be a good thing to do. So, so that's called recovery, as Stephen said. And yeah, I mean, we just tried to focus on those things that we got feedback on. And also we did like a roll-up magnetic cuff, because that's the other thing. You get chain grease on your pant, and that's annoying. Like, I think it just sucks when you have like a nice pair of jeans, you spent $200 on them, and then you get chain grease and they rip in your chain. That's just awful. So those were things we really worked on. Magnetic cuff, high-rise back, good fabric, no inseam to rub you on your inner thighs, because women do have a curvy body and we do our thighs rub. So let's make something that, gets rid of that issue on the bike. And that's actually where a lot of the holes happen too with abrasion. So yeah, that's what we focused on. And for our spring stuff, it's just a lot of similar aspects we worked on with we're doing a top and a skirt. And a lot of the similar, like we got some research back and focused on those things as well for those. But I won't go into that right now.
Actually, Steve, I wanted to ask you about how the crowdfunding model sort of develops what you guys are working on, how much goes into it before you start crowdfunding, and how much the response to the crowdfunding actually impacts what you do next, and the info that you get from that, and how that impacts what you're kind of doing in the future.
Sure. Right, so like I'd mentioned before, and like Jordan just mentioned, Betabrand has it's actually a several step process, and we call it our think tank. And it can start from internally, but we also take in design submissions from outside sources, and we invite anybody with an idea for a product that they don't see in the marketplace or isn't meeting their needs like they would like, to submit ideas using the think tank form on our website. And we go through those on a regular basis and reach out to people with some really compelling ideas and work with them to develop a product. And we will then, if it gets a certain amount of traction on our think tank page and there's a lot of community support for it, we can build a prototype and put it into the crowdfunding phase, where we've gotten a cost estimate and have a really good idea of what all of those features are going to cost out to be, and see if there's really enough interest beyond just clicking a like button. That's really easy and cheap for anybody to do. It's a lot harder to get people to put money down on a concept. And so we will take these concepts and put them in front of people and ask them to vote with their wallet. And when we do that, we are still lining things up for production if it has a certain amount of velocity. And we're able to engage our audience in a way that no other brand is doing by inviting them to participate in the product development process and showing them what happens behind the scenes in that process too. So we will often engage with them via email or newsletter blasts that just give a quick product update and show the different colorways that we're looking at and the different materials, and invite them for comment into features that they would like to see, or fits that they would like to see, or colors that they'd like to see. And so it's a really awesome way of combining the crowd with product development that allows us to stay really fast and ahead of trend by focusing directly with users instead of asking users what they think when you deliver the product to the store and you've already spent all this product development money and time and resources. We're able to find out from our customers what they really want and what they need and what they don't see out there on the market. So it's a really awesome opportunity for both customer and product developer to begin to work together much earlier in the design cycle than anybody has done until now.
Now, I don't want to make this at all women versus men, but as was mentioned, there are a lot more options usually for men out there on the market. And when I was talking to you guys earlier this week, you mentioned women are more, I think you said, delicate market. And you were talking about different preferences for fabric and the idea that, men might go for more of a bullet point and women want to touch it and want to, look at their butt or whatever they want to do. So tell me a little bit about why you think, or what needs to happen to sort of start breaking in and carving out and developing this niche for women's wear? Is it hiring more women designers, educating the men who are designing in a different way, or how do you feel is the best way forward?
It's a tough one. We're constantly asking ourselves how to do that in athletics in general, in activewear. But I think that where you start is you have to dispel a lot of the myths that women aren't active, that women are afraid to spend money, that women are intimidated by shops. You know what I mean? All of those things are myths, but myths can really affect you know, the reality of the market. And so I think once we can get past those and really create an environment that's welcoming, that's inclusive, that has options for her, then she'll come in and try things on and spend money. You know, right now IBDs, which stands for Independent Bike Dealers, took me a while to learn that. I'm like, what does this stand for again? It's just, you walk in, you just smell rubber and oil, and it's just bikes, and then there's a little corner of little caps and some Lycra. And there's no dressing rooms. So us trying to get apparel into IBDs, you know, the 800 doors that we have, you know, 20 could take it because they just weren't set up for apparel in general, much less women's. And I think the businesses, Lululemon being the biggest one, that created this environment for her to shop, that gave her a range of high quality active gear to choose from, really kicked everybody's ass and really proved that when you speak to her and when you create that environment for her and give her, and don't dumb things down and really respect her decisions, and she'll respond, you know? Before Lulu, $100 on a legging was tough. But when I tried one of those on, I was like, give me 4 pairs, you know? And then in my yoga class, it's just taken over. And then they're on men too, so they're doing something right by creating this environment and by really zoning in on just high quality, well-made pieces. So I think that's where it starts, and then the rest will follow, hopefully. And then I think also the bike community, you know, where I fell in love with bikes, one of my friends, Pete, is here. He got us all into biking. He just hooked us up with bikes. He's with Sports Basement, and he's like, I'll get you a bike, we're going on a ride. And after the first ride, we went, I don't know, 40, 50 miles. It felt like it, maybe it was 25. I was like, oh my God, so fun, I hate you. But we were hooked ever since, and it's really about, you know, especially in the Bay Area, like, get on a bike.
If you don't have a female's body, you might not know what it is you would want. I mean, makes sense. So yeah, I had the opportunity to work with, or to do a little consulting recently with a very large brand. And you know, they're going through some pains about designing a new women's line. And they brought in, they went shopping. That's what you do. You go shopping for like clothing samples that you like and fabric samples that you like. So the men went out and did some shopping. And they were like, we want to use this fabric for the women. And they passed it around to the women in the meeting. And the women were like, that's disgusting. I am not wearing that. It's awful. And they're like, wait a second. You will go out and you will wear 5-inch heels, but you're not gonna wear this fabric? Like, what's wrong with you? And we were like, you know what? It's not about that. It's like, those 5-inch heels make me look sexy. Like, I wanna look good. And that fabric, not only does it feel awful, it's not sexy. So, yeah, I mean, we're willing to like, kind of bridge that, like, okay, fine, it's a little uncomfortable, but I'll still wear it. Like, we'll still do that. But at least it needs to make me look good. And it's also like a little plus if it is like a good, like it's durable. That's a plus. So for me, I think walking into the industry was like, whoa, I had no idea that it's so male dominated. And and these people want to learn, like they definitely want to learn, but they also kind of like don't quite get it, but they're learning, which is awesome, and they're asking the right questions. So yeah, it was really cool to sit in with this group and like have that conversation around, well, why would you do that? Like, why are women are very different. It's true, we are different from what men look for, and I don't know, does that answer your question?
Yeah. We won't hold it against you that you just.
Yeah.
That's okay. I was thinking about my response to this while you guys were talking, so I think I'm prepared to speak about it. There actually, one of our interns that's with us tonight, former intern Jessica back there, had the really clever phrase, pink it and shrink it approach to designing women's wear, where you just take something that was designed for men and you pink it and shrink it. So that is sort of like, I guess from a sportswear perspective, that's something that happens a lot, but really with women's wear, the challenge is, yes, we should take some of the technical considerations and the performance features that went into developing our menswear line, but figure out a way to apply those in a way that a woman can appreciate and will look good on a woman and isn't going to make her look like she's wearing like really boy clothes, essentially, I guess. Our line at Betabrand, our commute line, is called Bike to Work, and that's the first consideration, whether it is for men or women. It should be something office appropriate that isn't going to really signal in any loud or overt way that it's cycling appropriate, and yet at its core it totally is. We look for fabrics that are abrasion resistant and DWR coated, and maybe, if possible, provide a little bit of a UPF rating, some sun protection for you, as well as stretch. And like mechanical stretch, in my mind, is way preferable to spandex. I love the way it looks and drapes much better. So using those building blocks, and with a team of really talented designers that are not only capable but mindful of designing for women, I think we're able to approach it in a way that pink it and shrink it doesn't even begin to cover.
Do we have anyone in the audience who's considering doing design for women cyclists? Yeah? So I wanted to ask you guys if you had advice for sort of next generation, or people starting their own businesses, or things to look out for, or ways to kind of get in and develop their own talents.
You can talk to me. No, just kidding. I mean, the best thing to do for cycling is to ride. And you can take surveys, you can ask everybody all the questions about what they need, but when you are in a pair of pants on a bike riding through town, you know what the problems are. So then riding is really important. And doing all different types of rides. And then asking, and really paying attention to what other people are wearing, paying attention to what you're wearing, and really just sort of study, you know, the difference between, you know, this pair of pants and that pair of pants, so you kind of understand just intuitively what needs to improve. And then the rest, you know, I did a crash course in performance fabrications, having done denim for so long. But, you know, we went to Asia, we met with all the mills, we ordered all this fabric, and we tested it, and then, you know, we talked to really experienced riders and just got all their feedback, and then just tested it ourselves to prove our own theories or disprove them. There's that, and then just working really hard and not giving up, and really having just a well-rounded knowledge of the business, because just to be creative and make pretty pictures is not enough. You have to understand the technical aspect of it, you have to understand patterns, you have to understand marketing, business, production, margins. It's in order to be a great designer, you have to understand how your decisions on a concept affect everything else, and then how it delivers to the market, and how it's going to look and feel on a lot of different people. They're going to have a lot of different opinions about your work. And it's never just one person, it's a team. So network, get to know people from all sides of the business, and really just work from the ground up. You know, it's hard work. You're not going to be able to go in and, you know, be a rock star overnight. You have to work your way up, I think. I think that's important, so you know what it's like to be in the trenches, so that when you are the decision maker, you can be sensitive to that, and you can put the pieces all together and make good decisions that will work. So network, work hard, ride. That's about it.
One of my favorite quotes, my dad says it a lot, is, you know, some people come up to me quite a bit, I've gotten it. They're like, oh God, Alana, you're so lucky. And I like cringe inside. And I'm like, yeah, the harder I work, the luckier I get. And that's what my dad always says. And he's right. It's like what Karen is saying. You really have to get out there and put in the work and partner with as many people as you can. You know, be very inquisitive. Like, don't ever think you know it all, because you really don't. In fact, the more you know, like, the less you know, right? So, yeah, I mean, just be in there and ask as many questions as possible, and be open to, like, all kinds of partnerships. Megan and I have been, like, really pleasantly surprised at people just coming to us, like, wanting to partner with, and we've had a lot of opportunities as a result. So I think just making sure you're not being myopic about what your focus is, and just really, like, letting people approach you and approaching people and thinking of ideas, how you can partner and pair up and do things together. I think that's the best advice I could give. Like, I mean, if Megan had never come to me, it wouldn't have even occurred to me to do a bike to work apparel line. Like, I was like, oh, this is just like a school project. Yay. But yeah, I mean, she saw a big picture, and you know, I think it's incredible to have those people who see that, you know, and see that in you. So be open to that. And yeah, I mean, I think that, I mean, I agree with everything she said. I don't need to add anything more.
If you're thinking about getting into design, and with this market specifically, do it. Please do it. This is such a young, new market that there is plenty of opportunity and room for growth. And the growth trajectory for this industry is ridiculous right now. It's unparalleled, and you have an excellent chance at being able to do what you love. If this is what you love and you're serious about it, then just fucking do it. Sorry about that. I was told there was a 5-second delay, so. But seriously though, this has to be something that you really, really love, and I never get upset when I can't fall asleep and I'm up working on a pattern or a sew sample or something at 3 in the morning. For me, it's a lifelong passion that I've always had, and if you share that passion and if it excites you and you see endless opportunity in this market, then just do it. There's no reason that you should ask for anybody's permission or wait for the right timing. You just have to do it while you have the energy and the enthusiasm and the youth to do it. This is the perfect time, and there's plenty of opportunity for all of us to participate in this market and do really, really well. There will be way more misses than hits. That's just part of being a designer. Not everybody is going to like what you design. Fuck them. Like, it ultimately boils down to staying motivated, staying fresh, staying inspired, and putting great products out there on the market. And yeah, if I had, I don't know, if I'd stayed at the North Face, I think that there was a good chance that I would feel safe and bored. And fortunately, I left before that happened, and now I am frustrated and stressed out and hyper emotional to the point where I have just this really, like, I don't know who I am some days, but like, it's totally worth it when you see people wearing your designs walking down the streets, and you're like, oh my God, like, I remember making that, and getting comments back from people and seeing how your products are helping to shape this new and vital industry. So please, I want to see what you guys bring to market, and yeah, network the hell out of yourselves, and just stay involved in any way that you can. So yeah.
Big round of applause for these guys. This has been great. I actually wanted to open it up to you to see if any of you guys out there had any questions for our fantastic panelists. Yes?
What is DWR coming? What does it stand for?
Durable water repellency.
Water repellent coating that will last, I think it's 50 washes at least is the rating. More than that?
Yes. So like if you drop water onto the surface, it just speeds up.
Oh.
Also, if something has DWR treatment on it, say it rains, it'll just bead off and it won't soak into the fiber and then reach your skin. So.
Or if you drop a beer on yourself, which I've been known to do.
Does it work with puke?
No. I don't know that.
Okay, any other questions out there? Okay, in the back, yell. Oh, sorry, yeah, go for it. Talk loudly.
Just wondering, obviously San Francisco is a very expensive place to start a business, to create something. How did you guys find San Francisco in terms of fostering or limiting your ideas or your ability to create something here?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, San Francisco is not the hub for fashion, but being at Levi's, it was, this is the birthplace of that icon. So it was, for me, that was ideal, but it was, outside of that, it was a struggle. It's like Gymboree or, you know what I mean? There's like really limited options. North Face was great. That was my next move, but now that I know that it sucks. Oh, okay. Fantastic for the right people. Sorry. No, I get you. I feel your pain. Working with a smaller company where you get to do more, you get more say, you get more influence, you're just more involved, you learn more. You're not suffocated by this big corporate machine that has all this history. So I've done it. It was great. I learned everything, traveled all over the world. Fantastic experience. Do it. It'll help you be a better designer, better human being, because you just get to see everything. So I get it. I lost my train of thought.
No, actually, Alana, because you started your own
Yeah,
business,
no,
so that's
that's
actually...
yeah.
It's challenging in San Francisco.
Yeah, no, it's totally challenging. It's an issue. Yeah, I'm pretty poor. But thank you. Yeah, but honestly, I've never been happier with the work I'm doing. So yeah, you kind of have to make that that sacrifice. It was really nice to get a good paycheck, and then start your own company, not getting a paycheck. So yeah, it's a struggle. But I think something the corporate machine will provide you with is like more resources than you would have ever had otherwise. So I really do recommend getting out there and getting involved with, I came to San Francisco because I wanted to do outdoor and I wanted to learn outdoor. You've got Marmot, you've got Mountain Hardwear, you've got the North Face, you've got who else? Giro's here. You've got Specialized, Betabrand, not corporate. There's so many companies. Chrome's here. It's incredible, and it's an opportunity to really pair up Levi's, Gap, Banana Republic. But if you want to learn specifically technical apparel, I would recommend getting out into an outdoor, getting an internship, whatever you can do to get in the door. And the way I did that was, I had no one's gonna tell me no when I was in school. I'm gonna do what I want to do. No one's gonna tell me no. So, I really pushed my director, and he really came through for me because I was that little squeaky person, hello, my brand's still here. And he got me a mentorship with this woman at North Face. And then when she had her senior designer was leaving on maternity leave, and then they needed somebody, and there I was. And I was ready, and she'd help me build my portfolio. So that's what I recommend. And don't be afraid, get that experience. You need it in order to start your own company. You really need it. And it does give you those resources. I wouldn't have the fabric contacts that I have now if it wasn't for North Face. This never would have happened for us if I hadn't been at North Face. So yeah, do you want to add to that?
San Francisco isn't New York. You won't find many companies that are fashion with a capital F. There's fashion with a lowercase f here, and there's a lot of apparel. And so if you want to do apparel and sportswear and outerwear, and this demographic specifically, in a really fun way, this is a great place for it. San Francisco and the Pacific Northwest in particular are awesome places for it. There are a lot of contacts here. San Francisco is still big enough, and we still have a lot of sew shops here in the Bay Area. There are places to get your things made, and it is really a good ground zero for it, both because we get around on bikes, they're super common here, and we have just the right amount of manufacturing capability and sourcing ability that it makes it possible for new companies to start up. So, yeah. Yeah, it is a startup space. I mean, we're like this close to Silicon Valley, and it's a really inspiring electric kind of vibe here in the Bay Area. So, yeah, it's an awesome place to be, to start a company.
There are a few organizations that are starting. SF Made, I think, has a really great database of people and helps people to get stuff made here. Makers Row is another one that's kind of a American database of American manufacturers. So you can start looking into those to actually start getting your stuff made. I think would probably be helpful too. People wear SF?
Also, there's a lot of things that you won't find on the internet. You have to do a lot of legwork.
Yeah.
There's a lot of calling people and following up on leads and visiting sew shops because they're not on Yelp. Like, these are really like out of the way places, and you go inside and there's just like sewing machines everywhere and fabric everywhere. Yeah, they're not visited by regular people at all. So.
All right, question? Yeah? Oh.
So on the textile level, like what innovations are you guys seeing that are exciting to kind of marry? You're talking about sort of blending fashion and performance, even if it's a little lowercase f. What's the
Lowercase f fashion. Let's see. I visited a mill up in San Anselmo today, and he showed me a laminated fabric. Normally laminates are air permeable membrane that's in between two fabrics. So you have your outer fabric, the laminate in between, the membrane in between, and then the fabric that's against your skin. And so it lets air out, but it also traps heat. And so there's this breathability aspect to it. So they're doing, and that bonding technology is typically in wovens, which is a more rigid fabric like snowboarding gear and stuff, and like really heavy duty rainwear. But I've been seeing this more, maybe you guys have too, but they're applying it to knits as well, so they're bonding two knits together. So you're able to have a top fabric that's polyester, and then a membrane, and then you don't really need breathability in knits because it's not that tight, it will breathe, but this is sort of like a glue that bonds two fabrics together, so you have a merino layer on your body that keeps you warm and cool and regulates your body temperature, and then this performance fabric on top that dries really fast, and so it just sort of like creates this push-pull technology, and it's super light, stretchy, and beautiful, and every time we go out and visit, go to textile shows and visit with mills, they're just coming out with just more natural, more organic feeling fabrics. So the tech fabrications that we're used to seeing is just becoming more drapey, more pliable, and more natural looking, which I love, because then it just makes it more versatile at the end of the day. It doesn't look like this tech piece. So that's what we're excited about.
Yeah, for Megan and I, we're always looking for those fabrics that look like a natural fiber but have those performance aspects to them. I tend to go back a lot to the basics, like merino. It's really great until you start sweating a lot, and then you smell like a wet dog. But but yeah, I mean, that's a great example. I've seen that. That's really cool. But yeah, like I said, we tend to look for fabrics that do look natural in like when you look at them, you're like, oh, that could be cotton. That's really interesting. But it's not. It's a nylon. It's a woven nylon that has stretch. That's crazy. So, yeah, I think that's, yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of where the market is at right now, is fabrics that look normal but are actually high performance. So this shirt that I'm wearing right now is a prototype of ours that hasn't been released yet, and it is it's a blue Oxford stripe shirt. It looks like an office shirt, but it's actually a high performance woven, and it has mechanical stretch built into it and UPF, and it's really awesome and light and has just enough bounce and recovery to it without using any spandex, so it looks and feels just like a really high quality woven cotton shirt, and yet it's not. It gives you all of the performance benefits. The other thing is there are some mills that are actually still here in the US. Polar Tech is one of them. They're a US based company, and they showed us some things recently, and I might have a subpoena on my desk in the morning waiting for me for telling you all this, but they showed us really cool fabrics that are actually knitted, but they have fabric A on the top, or fiber A on the top and fiber B on the bottom. So fiber B in this case was a merino, and so it gives you the anti-odor, the warmth, the wicking ability of the merino on the next to skin layer, but then the surface is a really tightly woven nylon that resists abrasion and blocks some wind. So those kinds of things, like the merging of natural and synthetic to give you the best of both worlds, is super interesting, and I'm really excited to see what the future holds for that as the price points on that comes down a little bit. So yeah, thanks. That's a good question.
Can someone actually tell me what time it is? 8. Okay, I think we've got time for like one more question. Go for it.
I have a last technical question. As a new commuter on my bike, also in San Francisco, I was wondering if each of you had any secrets or tricks having been in this industry and also biking in this industry or in the city, like little trade or secrets about getting around and what you're wearing, or things you learned along the way that you want to share. And we won't tell anybody else.
Oh gosh.
For me, it's really simple. It's layers. Because in San Francisco, there's so many microclimates everywhere, and then the thing about being on a bike is you heat up so fast. But when you sweat and it gets cold, you'll freeze. So you just have to have things that are packable and super lightweight, that'll block the wind and keep you warm when you're sweating. And it's cold if you're riding home at night, which I did for many, many years. It's freezing, but in the morning you don't want to bring this heavy jacket with you. So it's just important to have like a little packable wind piece that goes into a little, packs into itself, and you keep that in your bag as a little shell. And then just wear really nice base layers. So don't skimp on it. Just wear things that fit really well. That's made with. I prefer like a merino poly blend. 100% merino would be great, but that gets expensive. But a little merino in there it keeps it cozy. So your base layers are really important, then just layer on, and then you can take off and put away in your bag. And then for the pant situation, the more durable the fabric, the stiffer it is. So they make now like 14-ounce stretch jeans. So if you're riding all the time and you want to find your favorite pair of jeans, but pick a heavier quality, because I think in women's wear, they're at 9 ounces, really light, really beautiful, but on a bike, you'll shred it up really fast. So just go for something a little heavier, a lot heavier, and then that'll be your bike jeans. They'll still wear in the butt and everything, but that's, for me, a badge of honor. I ride. But those are the two things: layer, a lightweight shell, and some just more durable, heavier weight stretch pants.
Well, I wear my perfect bike pant. Yeah. Layering is key. I have a basket on the front of my bike. I got like a bike rack in the back. I have a cup holder, which I never use. I actually just clip my helmet to it all the time. just very useful, but not for carrying liquids. And then my basket has been this incredible thing for me to take off as I'm biking. Like you'll see me at stoplights, like tearing off my clothes, throwing it in the basket. That's like my favorite bike accessory is that front basket. And the same thing with layers. That's what I do. Yeah, and I don't wear. The other thing that that I would mention earlier was the pit stain issue. So I'll tend to buy like drop shoulder type t-shirts and jackets so that they're not like hugging me in the armpit, just to kind of keep me from getting that pit stain and that like feeling of like, ugh, it's just like sticking to me. Ooh. So yeah, I tend to like really think about how the top is fitting me. So yeah, and definitely like if you're gonna be wearing jeans, definitely like find something that's thicker and more durable.
I'm going to assume that after tonight you're going to run out and buy one of everything from each of our brands, so you're like good on the apparel side. You don't need to worry about that, so that's awesome. The next thing would be to wear a helmet. No joke, I've lost 2 friends that way, and you really need to cover the dome. The next would be to light your bike and make sure that people can see you. And if your clothes have reflectivity, make sure those reflective features are deployed so that cars can see you. And then the next thing would be to, I live in the East Bay, so I'm sure they do it in the city, but there are free or really cheap bike maps of the city. In the East Bay, they give you like routes that you can follow, and they're very clearly marked where there's a bike lane, where there's a really steep hill, like they give you alternate routes and stuff. So that's been really helpful. It's just nice to have that on you until you learn the routes. And then after that, it's just sort of this rad club that you belong to, and you kind of travel in packs through the city like a bunch of fucking ninjas, so it's cool. Have fun and welcome to San Francisco and enjoy your bike.
Yeah, I would say, I work from home now, so I'm in pajamas most of the day, but when I did commute to work, I would always wear like a crappy old t-shirt and then like hide in the bathroom and change before But I totally agree. I think I refer to Coal Valley, and you're like, okay, that was really foolish, but that's part of the fun, and it's just great. I mean, part of I totally bought a bike map when I first got here, and I was like, okay, they have some with the grades and everything, and then eventually you just sort of get to know the streets in a totally, even if you've lived here forever, you get to know the streets in a totally different way, and it's just kind of natural, and it's fun. So have fun, helmet, lights, for sure.
You'll get there faster on your bike than you would on Muni, so.
Yeah. Oh my God, I mean, it's just like, some places you just can't get to. That's all we've got time for it. I'm sure that these guys will be around to answer questions, we'll be around. But thank you so much, everybody, for coming. This was really fun.
Yeah, let's hear it again for all of our panelists up here, guys. That was awesome. So before everybody runs off, we have Carla McKay here, who's on the board of the SFBC, and there is a ton of awesome women-focused events coming up that she is going to share with us.
So you see me taking photos because as a board member of the SFBC, I cannot be prouder to see all the women that have showed up tonight. And this topic is near and dear to my heart too. So let's hear it for the women biking in San Francisco. And thank you so much for coming out tonight. Thank you for Megan for organizing this, and Zach and the folks at Huckleberry for hosting this. So not only am I excited for women, but it's Women's History Month. And the SFBC is putting on a ton of great events. How many of you know about all these great events that are going on? So on the website, I know Kristen does, on the website we have a number of great rides coming up celebrating women, and there's everything from learn how to be a bike mechanic, which I'm excited about at the Bike Kitchen, and guess what? We're having nights carved out where it's just women and transgendered, and so you don't have to be jockeying with the guys. We have a ride coming up to the 19th Amendment. We have women over 50 riding. We have learn how to ride a bike for the first time. I have tons of friends that say to me, how do you ride how do you ride in a skirt? I mean, how do you ride to work every day? And it's very simple, and I think San Francisco is a great city for that. So please check the website, San Francisco sfbike.org, and check out the events. I'll be at probably most of them. Thank you for all that you guys are doing to give us better riding wear. And this is great, and I look forward to more of these coming up. So thanks, keep biking, and we'll see you on the streets.
Thank you. And the SFBC was doing the bike parking tonight, so thank them. That's an awesome service. Yeah. So thank you all for coming. We hope to do a lot more of these.
Put your suggestions for like what you guys are looking for. Fill out the board. We want to know.
Fill out the board before you leave. We want to know. We'll share it with everybody. And I'm sure everybody will stick around for a little bit if you have any more questions. So cheers.